Welcome back, everybody, to Where the Carnage Is. At the end of part two, no outro on that one because I try to moderate, and I was out here all day, like all day, and just stumbling block after stumbling block problems I've made for myself. So at the end of that one, I mentioned that what I was going to do is move the whole skid back. And what I did, let's get that in there, is exactly that. So I moved the skid back a full hole. And then I cut down a stock drive shaft. And look at that. Like, you don't know how good the feeling was when that went together. So, am I doing this the right way? I have no idea. Also, the what would be an enduro rear bumper mount? Pretty proper fitment there on the front. It doesn't really play well with that 10.3 bumper. I'd have to cut it up a bunch, so I will probably end up fabricating something for that. As it sits now, the clearance is just about right. It's a little, well, I was going to say it's a little low, but the body should actually sit like that. So I can probably actually, with this mount, drop the body mounts down one hole, which a lower body is better. It'll help obscure some of this. So, yeah, there's a bunch of extra holes there now. And now I have to go about the process of pulling all the front links off and making them rear links and making the rear links into the front links. So this is going to be interesting, for sure. This thing is butter smooth. I could not be happier about that. And I'm going to have to run this at least a little bit before these come off and I build all new towers and body mounts. And this is the tough type of build a body mount because they have to fit in a specific spot. If you have a fresh body on hand that hasn't been drilled, you can just put these wherever you want. But these holes are already determined, and I've got to work with that. So, the only unknown variable at this point is, did this move back far enough that now it's going to interfere with the rear drive shaft? And that's immediately fixable. I can just put an element drive shaft or something on the rear. But we're going to go double fingers crossed that the MST fits on there. So you know what? I've just been having a bang up time just wrenching here with the camera sitting over in the corner. So what I'm going to do is get the shock towers put on and get to putting the links on and hopefully at least get this thing to a roller so I can look at it and see like if it's going to work mechanically. So that's what I'm going to do. We're not going to bother with... We're going to try to keep this video at least a little bit shorter. I would like to see this one... If it's going to go long, let's get some running in it. And that is the goal of the day. Because I feel like this was the deal, and now it works. And I'm going to put this thing together. And then hopefully we're going to drive it, God willing. Some time has passed. I would generously say that the mess has been reduced by about 20%. There's quite a bit of stuff I could actually clear off the bench at this point, like this drive shaft, which I can never use again. But, we work in stages. Anyway, look at that. Let's pull that over a little bit. It's a strange thing. It still sits quite high. I would like it to sit down about right there. And why that's a strange thing is I put the stock shocks from the Jimny on there. So this thing came on 80s. I put on 90s. I just took off the 90s and put on 70s. Now, admittedly, there's a lot of weight not on this. There's no electronics other than the servo. There's no battery, etc. So it's basically it's virtually a no droop setup. It has that much droop, maybe 3 millimeters. But at the same time, with a 70 millimeter shock, the amount of flex is actually pretty impressive. So I guess there wasn't really a big hit in going long links in the front, short links in the back. It doesn't really look that different to me. I think the rear upper links need to be moved because they have about as much caster in the rear end as there is in the front, but without driving it, I'm absolutely not going to mess with it. So everything went together pretty well. I definitely haven't gotten into any sort of fastener optimization, what I call fastener optimization, which is, yeah, in a perfect world, those don't stick through. There isn't 6 millimeters of thread poking out the end. Like, wherever there's the end of a screw poking out of a bolt, it's too long. But that's an issue. And there's some stainless here, and there's some regular there. And boy, are there a lot of extra holes in the sides of the chassis. I'm just trying to mentally block them out. So I am going to definitely run. Oh, yeah, because the wheelbase looks like it got a little bit longer. This was a dead-on 12.3, and we are now... No, it's 12.3. So all I can figure is because shifting the plate 12 millimeters aft and not changing any link lengths, and the link lengths are 10 millimeters difference. I'm not... Math isn't my thing. But that means that there's 4 millimeters of shift, essentially. So, to me, the front wheel still looks pretty well centered in the well. But it could be 2 millimeters back. The rear axle looks a bit back. But as I stand here and try to think about it, is that how it always was? Like, I don't know if it actually moved. So, anywho, I am going to... Oh, and the drive... No issue with the drive shaft at all. It's a little forward of center, but, I mean, that's how much the pin moves under full suspension. These Jimny shocks, they feel really good. It's strange. So, it is definitely LCG-ish, but still so much ground clearance. I'm gonna have... Well, like I say, I'm going to build towers because look at the amount of space between the top of the shock and where the body mount starts. So I can make significantly taller, wider, longer, whatever towers to accommodate different shocks. Though, as I've said, these feel pretty good. I think they have like 25 weight in them. They feel pretty good. So, I will do whatever is necessary to get the electronics back in. I don't know where I'm going to put the receiver at the moment. There's no sort of side skirt on this thing. So, get the motor back in first. I'll figure something out for the battery. I mean, I could have just bolted that in. You know, I might do that. Although, look at, like, the battery could be so much farther forward. The battery could be all the way down there. Oh, if that doesn't strike, I might just drill some holes. I still want to get that cross brace in there. Like I say, every thought leads to more thinking, and I need to think less and do more. We're still middle of the afternoon at this point. I don't know why I haven't round filed that. Uh, I really want to drive this. Like, I have to know if I made a miracle or an abomination. And we will definitely find out together. I am going to get the electronics put in. I am going to figure if just a temporary solution, some sort of solution for the battery. And I mean, in a perfect world, could I fit it right there? I don't think I can. I think the grill is pretty close. Nope. Well, I'll think of something. I'll think of something. And hopefully when I turn this camera back on, this will be able to move under its own power. That would be great. One other note. As I am old and getting increasingly more deaf as the days pass by, my children, I call them children because they will forever be children. But, one already has a job now, and the other one's a junior in high school. So, they're more like people. But I'm a loud music guy. Let me see if I can give you a sample short enough not to trip any sort of copyright infringement. But, this is a typical working environment if you walk into my workshop when I'm building something. I don't see the problem. The youths today, it's all the TikToks, but they can't handle the loud music. Anyway, back to the electronics. I think I don't clean up as I go along out of fear of retribution from the universe. The universe will look down on me and say, "Oh, he thinks he's done." So, there's electronics in it. It does the things that rock crawlers do. The front end, there's something in there there's something loosey-goosey. I've got like a pivoting thing on the front axle, and the rear axle is like rock solid. So I'm gonna have to address that. Like the whole axle pivots. You can see the servo there. I don't know what fastener I forgot. I don't know what's going on there. It is pretty much slapped together. But it moves. I introduced more MST back into it. This is the original battery mounting. I just dremelled a slot in it so that I could just strap the battery. I think this is for a CMX. It lined up with two of the holes on there, so there's one screw in there. The receiver is not glued down. Had to go to double extensions to get the receiver back there, because I noticed as I was taking this apart that this used to be the piece that mounted in the front, and it wouldn't allow the front end to go to full compression because the top of the servo would hit that plate, and I never noticed. So there it is, just barely assembled. But you know what it is assembled enough for? It's assembled enough to make it go. So let's take this thing as it is right now. Well, I'll put a body on it. But let's go find a rock. And if we're going to make early prognostications, obviously I want it to be amazing. I think the worst case scenario is obviously it just sits and spins its tires. The second to worst case scenario is I can't tell the difference. So then I've spent days on end drilling holes in pieces and making them only fit one way. to get a rig that's essentially the same as it was before. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I've radically altered the geometry here now that it has long links in the front and short links in the back. So it's not the same thing anymore. But we're going to find out right about now.
Before we get this underway, just in case anyone thought I was being hyperbolic when I said that spring doesn't exist in Southern California, it's 94 degrees. Two additional notes, as much for myself as anyone else. I think I have the shock towers reversed. It makes no sense the way MST went. There are two A towers and two B towers, but like it's A in the front, or when I drilled the body and put it together, I just messed the shock towers up. So now I have this mystery shock tower situation where I think on the right hand side there's a B in the front and an A in the rear, and then on the other side there's an A in the front and a B in the rear, and I think I have that reversed. So I think it's basically moved the whole body forward. Anyway, I don't think those are right. Also, there's no more sloppiness in the front end. It turns out every single fastener was loose, and a couple of them were missing the lock nuts. So you see there's quite a bit of lug rub on the body because I don't think the body is where the body is supposed to be. What I do notice is that it's like it's surging. I don't know if that's just an element of the setup. And it's like jumping. It's not smooth, it's jumpy. And even it's doing it not like it's doing it all the time. So do I have something binding? It's like it goes arr, arr, arr. Oh, is it possible that I got the center drive shaft put together out of phase? I'm going to take a look at that real quick. Indeed, we in the industry call that a best case scenario. I had these center drive shaft halves 90 degrees out of phase. You're back in phase now, and it is quite smooth. Its performance going up this with the drive shafts out of phase was actually pretty promising because it was basically surging its way up. I gotta say, it's got quite a lot of forward drive. I do think all of the body mounts are out of sequence. Yeah, that is a lot of rub on the front. I even kind of brute force it, kind of seeing what it's going to take to flip it over. And it doesn't seem to want to. Alright. Let's try something different. Let's just take a straight run here at the mixed stuff. See how it manages. Yeah, I think the showdowns are. I think they're breaking down a little bit. But I haven't. We're gonna have to get to something a little more craggy to see if the sentence. See, that's just all four tires in dirt. Let's see here. To see if that belly gets hung up now. Once again, I think we have a little yellow situation here where these tires were good, but now that the setup has changed, I feel like the setup can outdrive the tire. Let's see if we can get up this sideways. Now see, I don't know if that's the center hung right there. I feel, I mean, we're early on, but I feel like the bumpability has improved a bit. Okay, let's see how it manages this. Just pushes it right back down. Wow, that, I mean, I'm not touching the steering wheel, I'm just holding throttle and seeing what it does. I've got that bumper mount hung up on something now. Wow, yeah, it definitely behaves differently. That thermometer's in the shade, so this is positively nightmarish in the sun. I'm gonna try to bring it across the face of this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull all those shock towers. Oh, that was just a failure of grip. I feel like the setup is out driving the tires. I mean, they're trying, but yeah, those losses of traction are just like a sudden slip. Like you can't push that front end over right there. Boy, it's not getting hung up on anything though. Now, let's try straight up the face of the big rock, seeing as we're on the bumper. Prove me wrong, Showdowns, and claw up this. Yeah, their forward bite is starting. You can't. Oh, let's give it a little thrust. Yeah, that bump. It's got quite a bump, and then it makes nothing of this. Oh, there's a definite. It's literally sitting on the 4 degree right there. Let's. Okay, we still. It's a no roll at this point. Okay, right up the face. Trying to get the nose to rise as much as possible. Push it, push. Wow. I mean, we're at this point, this is best case scenario stuff at this point. All right, if it can make this approach, which nothing has been able to get up this, that would be a success beyond that which I could imagine. I mean, I don't want to resort to hyperbole, but wow. I've tried every rig up that almost. Come on, get your nose over. Try to side hill out. Look at how high that tire is. And it's still just planted. Look at that. And like every tire is rubbing because I have the body essentially in the wrong spot. Okay, this is 45 degrees and greater on the side hill. Let's flip the camera around and see that from the other side. That is genuine cliffhanging right there. All right, we're right at the limit. Can I get it forward? No. I mean, I didn't perform alchemy. I didn't make magic. I don't think anything can hang on to that. Try a couple angles here. I don't think there's anything that will pose it any challenge whatsoever. The amount of forward drive, and it just wants to keep the wheels down. Like, how is that up? I think it's two wheels touching. I mean, it still comes back to, it's an MST, and in my mind, the greatest weakness of the CFXW is it looks like a lot of steering angle, but it doesn't behave as if it has a bunch of steering angle. I'll see there. Oh, I managed to crag the now lower chassis. Yeah, that's a significant amount of rub in the front. The whole body just needs to be moved back. So I know I want to build new towers. I got to figure out. Well, what I'm going to do is dig through the bins and see if I have square stock to build body mount retainers out of. If I have that, we have no problems because I can move them around. Yeah, see, still a bit of push, and I don't know at this point. Wow. I don't know if that's the geometry or that we're now out driving the showdowns, which, as I've mentioned a couple times, are a bit worn. Okay, this is just steady throttle here, trying to see what I can grab. I'd like to get around to the left of that rock. That's a difficult line to assault. And it looked like it was going to tip back, and then it just rocked right back forward. Okay, we're down into the scrub now. I hope I'm in frame. It's so bright out here, I can't even see the screen on the camera. That's a little bit of chassis hang there. But the solution to that is just more power. Let's try something else. There's a little bit of a breeze here under the tree. It's pretty nice. Oh yeah. I mean, they drive well. But you can see those moments where it just drops loose. Okay, let's try an impossible angle. Let's come at this. Instead of oblique, let's just go straight up the face. That rear tire is down onto a little slick there. Wow. Push it. I think it's a little hung, but two moments there that how did it not roll? I feel like it's got more, like it got peppier. Yeah, the tire, you can see the rear just not pulling over. Kind of, so I'm trying to pull it with the front. Now this could be geometry, I don't know. It feels like the rear isn't, there are moments when the rear isn't digging as hard. The front is digging harder. But then as soon as I said, I think it might just be, honestly, it might just be a tire versus body issue. As I said, I couldn't even call this geometry. I just made it up. Come on. I don't know if they have enough just pure grip centers hung. This is nearly impossible because there's an underhang there at the right rear, and trying to get it around that without just burying the chassis. This guy will do 3-wheel now. Is that gonna pull up? It's in the underhang again. It's very bouncy. Yeah, that underhang right there. Now the left rear is in the underhang. Try it real slow. I mean, there's a lot of setup I can mess with because, I mean, frankly, I don't fully grasp what a lot of it does. Like if I lengthen the upper link in the rear, what is the outcome of that? That's gonna stand the rear axle up straighter, but I couldn't tell you what that means. I haven't messed with rigid axles long enough to know what those sort of changes make. I mean, ask me about camber gain, sure. This is a different thing. Can I get even? Yeah, you can just see that rear. It's trying. It just. Oh. Yeah, that's one that feels good. It's still not up, but there we go. Yeah, I'm stuck in the fake ivy now. I didn't pay attention to what pinion is in there, but I feel like it could be smaller now, which is so strange. That's the most strange part of this whole thing. What are we gonna do here on Daphne's? We're gonna. Wow. I mean, that must be like my 5th wow. Yeah, I need to sit down and I need to wrap my thought.
All I could think on the drive back is that I got some combination of shock tower mounting to where it has just pushed the whole body forward, and I don't know how I managed to do that. Also, the camera keeps switching off because it got so hot in the sun out there that I think it's thermaling a little. So I'm going to try to wrap up my thoughts for this one. I keep having to tap the screen so that it doesn't just completely stop recording. I do want to show one little thing before we get the wrap up done, which is I will give you like a 2-second glimpse of the whole work area because it is something to behold. I mean, the horror of it. This is above and beyond even my usual, and the area over by the machine tools looks pretty much the same. And I noticed for the first time that there's a little triangle with an exclamation mark in the middle of it down in the corner, saying that the phone needs to cool down. So, I'll try to wrap this up as quickly as I can. There's zero finish work done on this. I need to go through the screws. I need to do all that stuff. I need to start templating out for the shock towers and the body mounts. Most importantly, the body mounts. Something about a bumper, but I can get to the bumper whenever. The routing for the wiring. You know, I think I like the receiver back in that location. Maybe not in that box, maybe some other receiver box. I have to find an extension that's long enough for the servo. There's quite a bit of cleanup to do. Even this thing, the steering was starting to act a little slow because it's really hot. The shocks seem to be pretty great, so I'm going to work off of that. That hole will be the default starting position for the grid of holes. I'll probably do, realistically, it's probably going to end up being about 15 or 18 holes on the shock tower. And this time I'm going to measure them out and do proper spacing so that, like, that's a 70. I want to be able to run 80s or 90s because I have so much vertical space. So this might be a big, tall shock tower with a lot of holes on it, because if I can rock the same ride height with like a 90, I can put a 90 on there. I'm starting to build up a selection of shocks that aren't 80 or 85 millimeters long. The Colonel currently has the 80s that came on this. I might just steal those back and put him back on some 90s. There's a lot to deal with. I am going to mount up those. You can see one off in the distance over there. I am going to mount up those growlers on those wides. Figure out the body mount thing. There's a lot. Of course, the fasteners. There's a lot of finishing and cleanup to do. Mostly, I think I'm going to clean up like the work area before anything else. But nobody cares. So. Also, I need more rear link mount positions. So that is a comment as much for me as for anyone else. So that I remember to drill some holes, because basically I'm going to have to pull the whole thing apart anyway. I mean, we've gotten to here. I got to take it apart, put it back together again. I still don't think I'm going to bother to paint the rails, as they would just get scarred up badly. And I don't mind them in silver. I'm really pleased with the performance, with its current level of performance. This is not just untuned, but like, I don't even know how the geometry is laid out. I put rear links in the front and front links in the rear and move the whole rear skid backwards. So even the blind squirrel finds a nut. Yeah, I mean, we'll go with that. So there'll be at least one more came from the workbench in this series. Try to wrap it up, get it cleaned up a little bit, do a performance evaluation of the growlers versus the showdowns. I don't know what to think. I also want to mount an old set of canyon trails as well. I'm going to do a little tire jiggery. I think a front bumper would actually help in this case, because I can get a little more weight out front. I'm not going to bother to scale it yet. The rear seems to sit a little bit high. Yeah, definitely needs shock towers with more holes. Got to see what I can do about building body mounts. But I think that this is absolutely enough for this one. It's not just a roller, it's a runner. I am thoroughly impressed with the performance of it, and I don't know how much of that was me. The frame rails are so simple that honestly, when I go to build the new towers and this thing's pulled apart, it's really not that much work to cut out new frames, now knowing what I know. But I think these might stay on here for a little while, because now I can just punch some holes in them for more link mount positions. And I think I want to do threaded so that I can just screw them on. I don't know. I'm just thinking thoughts into the future now. So, anyway, that's enough for this. Part 3 in the books. It not only does it run, it works. I'm thoroughly pleased with it. I absolutely thank everybody for tuning in and watching. I'm a hair away from 1,000 subscribers as of recording this. So if you know anybody that wants to watch a guy ramble on at length about toy cars, send them this way. I could use the help. So I hope you tune in for the next one to see what sort of shenanigans we get into in finishing this. Like I say, I would like it to sit right about there, and I think all I need to do that is build me some shock towers, and in a perfect world, I can just build one shock tower that will fit all 4 corners and figure the body mounts out from there. So that's the goal. Not to build fronts and rears, lefts and rights. Just one shock tower 4 times. That would be perfect. The fastener thing I'm not looking forward to. Drilling holes, I don't mind. Anyway, that's for the next one. We're all getting, and I won't stop talking. So, I'm done. Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next one. Subscribe if you haven't. Yeah, I think that covers it.